Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ubuntu Testing Days. Today, we're going to talk about another Ubuntu flavor. This time, it's Xubuntu's time. And here with me, it's Sean from the Xubuntu team. I'm Leo Arias. I work on QA on Ubuntu. And Sean, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Sean Davis. I'm a developer with the Ubuntu team and XFCE. And yeah, hi everyone.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. Usually on these calls, you see my teammates too, but currently they are all traveling to different parts of the world. So you will probably see them in conferences and stuff during the weekend. Some interesting things happening in Ubuntu over the world there too. But let's start here. The idea of Ubuntu Testing Days is just to have a relaxed conversation with the developers of an interesting project. And for the past few weeks, we have been talking about Ubuntu flavors. We talked about Ubuntu Mate with Martin. We also talked about Ubuntu Budgie with David. If you want to check the past episodes, you can find them in youtube.com/Ubuntu on air. And now it's time to talk about Xubuntu, which is a flavor using the XFCE for the UI, and it has been with us for a long time. And the first release, I think it was on 2006.
That's
so great project with more than 10 years. Would you like to talk a little about Xubuntu to us? Sean, please.
What would you like to hear or know, or how should I go with this?
So how'd you join? Since when have you been using and collaborating with Xubuntu?
Well, I've been using Xubuntu since the beginning. I played with XFCE on Ubuntu before it was Xubuntu. And then I used it starting with the first release. And I used that up until now. In 2012, I started submitting bugs and kind of got pulled into the team at that point.
Great. So since the beginning, you have all the historic perspective too. And thanks a lot for the work, because when I was on my last years of the university, I survived thanks to Xubuntu. My machine was not fast enough to run KDE or GNOME. And the goal of Xubuntu, other than looking pretty and being useful, is to work on machines with resource constraints. So why don't you tell us a little about that? How can a project focus on these old machines that most of the other projects are leaving behind? I find that a little interesting.
Well, XFCE itself is really lightweight, and we choose a lot of apps that are kind of more, single purpose and focused. And I guess if you kind of, look at it that way, we're kind of building on a small base, and we're just kind of able to provide everything that users need without kind of having the cruft in the way, and everything's just real minimalistic, and that's why our default is pretty plain as well. But we have a strong artwork team that kind of keeps everything looking good. So
great. Why don't you show us the desktop? Can you do a little demo to us?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, I will focus you here on the call so we can just see your screen.
All right. So can you see it?
I can.
All right. So this is our default desktop with a little bit of garbage on there from where I was doing demos for the release and whatnot. Just empty that. All right, so that's a little tidier. We have a panel at the top with a searchable application launcher. This is the whisker menu. I accidentally clicked on something. We're very careful about the applications that we include. For the longest time, we shipped the GNOME Office suite, AbiWord, and Gnumeric. Now we have LibreOffice, which is a long time requested feature, and ultimately we decided that it would be best for our users as well. So.
Right. I remember when I used it, I had to use AviWord and Numeric. When did you jump to LibreOffice?
It was a couple releases ago. It may have been for Xenial, might have been before, I'm not sure. But one of the things that we did whenever we moved to it is that we wanted to make sure that it was tightly integrated. So again, our artwork team kind of jumped in, and we have our own an elementary theme, which is our default icon theme as well in LibreOffice. So everything, it looks like a native GTK app, which is which really went for us, and it looks more native even than AviWord and Numeric can do as well. So yeah, that's kind of our Office suite there. Again, continuing back with the panel, we have a window list. We have indicator support. So you've got the network indicator, sound indicator, messages, and basic calendar clock. And then we have a clean desktop, and that's it with the defaults as far as the home or the desktop goes. I guess if you wanted to kind of dig into our apps, for the most part, we keep all of the XFCE stack. So we've got the Thunar file manager, and we've got Ristretto for viewing images. Of course, actually do have an image right there. Everything's real fast, lightweight, super responsive. Let's see. We ship GNOME calculator because again, while it is a GNOME project, it was best integrated and worked best for our needs and our users' needs. And that's kind of the story with everything that we choose. I'm a developer for several of the applications, including Catfish, Parole, Mini Libre. And again, these are all things that kind of we've been building by request and by need, and through user feedback and through our own artwork team feedback and throughout our community and QA testing and whatnot. We recently added some new games, SGG Puzzles Collection. This comes from Simon Tatham's Portable Puzzle Collections. He's the guy that made Putty. He also made a series of games, simple logic games, but they're a lot of fun and generally pretty addicting.
So it's lightweight, but it has everything you can possibly need.
Yeah, it's lightweight, but very featureful.
Yeah, and well, you have access to the full Ubuntu archive, right? Even if you want to jump to something more resource consuming, if your machine allows it, you can always install it.
Right. So yeah, so we ship the Ubuntu software, which is the rebranded GNOME software now, kind of keeping in line with mainline Ubuntu, because we kind of want to provide the best options that are available, and that those are going to be the ones that are supported and used by everybody else. So. But yeah, everything that's available on Ubuntu is available in Xubuntu and is easily installable.
Cool. We have a question here from Coder Europe. He says, why doesn't Catfish keep a log scan file of the system for faster searches in Xubuntu?
Let me read the question.
I don't know what's Catfish, do you?
Catfish is our file search application. I mean, this kind of goes along again with the lightweight nature of all of our apps. It is a little slower, but we do try to make some optimizations and speed features. Was there an answer there as well? So
if you kept the log, it would be it would require more RAM to.
It would require more disk space, but we are taking advantage of certain things that are available in Linux already, such as using locate. So locate's an instant search feature that's built that uses a stored database of file locations. It also has a find backend. It also has various Python-based fast searching tools. So if I bring up Catfish, I can kind of show it off.
Yep. And I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that if you're following us in ubuntuonair.com, there's a box below under the video where you can ask your questions for Sean, and a lot of the people from the Xubuntu team are on that channel right now, so we can have some interesting discussions there too.
Yeah. So again, here's Catfish, and it's again a really lightweight, a really fast application. You got quick filters. So if we just want to see images in a result set, and since this is a virtual machine that's kind of clean, I don't have a lot to actually search through. But we've got the ability to search within a date range. We can search within files. We can search do specific searches. So if you want to match by case, or if you were to do with the file contents with exact match, you can look for precise strings while searching through your files.
Nice. And is this an application that comes from the XFCE community, or is this totally independent that you just bring it to your distro?
Catfish has kind of always been connected to XFCE, but while not being an official XFCE project, one of the things I was actually that I've been flirting with recently is actually making it official XFCE, so that it kind of benefits from more contributors and more translators and whatnot. I'm not the original creator of Catfish, so that would also be a discussion with the original maintainer as well.
Cool, interesting. Okay, do you want to show us something else here on your desktop? I have a few questions for when you are done with the demo.
I mean, yeah, we can really jump off this anytime. I mean, everybody or most people have seen most of these applications at some point or another. Oh, here's another one we got. This is Mugshot. It's not going to detect my camera because it's in a virtual machine, but this is a quick, simple application to kind of set your user credential, your name, the finger and locate methods. You can set your profile pic here as well. So, and it integrates with Pigeon and integrates with LibreOffice, so you're able to kind of update everything all at once.
Great. So I was looking at your blog earlier, and I saw your latest post, which was very interesting because it's about customizations on XFCE, and you showed a desktop that was really looking a lot different from the default, looking pretty good. So again, the fact that it's lightweight doesn't mean that you can't do customizations and crazy things in there. Can you tell us a little about what are the options to modify your desktop in Xubuntu?
Yeah, definitely. For one, we have an application. I guess I'll actually show you on my desktop here. I don't think I've got anything. Yeah, I keep it clean. Application that we ship, a GTK theme config. And what this will allow you to do is kind of quickly, change your GTK theme settings. So if we wanted to, make things orange, for example, usually at the restart applications, I think it should take place automatically. So here, immediately in Thunar, you see my highlight color changed. I can make my panel a different color. Apply. And that usually requires a panel restart, so I'll refresh that real quick.
So this is still XFC, just different colors, different applications.
So this is XFCE. I'm using Plank as a dock. I started using it years ago, and I just kind of fell in love with it, and that's what I use by default. It's not one of the things that we ship by default inside of Xubuntu, where we just, we have the single window management up here. But I mean, the panel is entirely configurable. Lots of plugins, lots of more plugins available to install from the Software Center. So we got like a dictionary plugin, which ties to the XFCE dictionary app. So this is a cool app, an XFCE that just kind of ties to dictionary libraries online and be able to pull all sorts of information whenever you do a lookup. Really fast, good for research. I can add. I guess the whole thing about XFCE is that it's really old, and there's a lot of things that have been added over time. So we have a lot of available plugins that people have contributed and maintained over the years. And it kind of makes everything super flexible. And usually, if you're interested in kind of tweaking in a certain way, there is a panel plugin called XF Dashboard, which makes XFCE work like GNOME Shell, for example. I don't have that installed right now, but see, this might have screenshots. Not one I can zoom in on. But anyway, it changes the way that XFCE works to be more like GNOME Shell, and I can rearrange the panels such that it's a sidebar, so I can make it vertical. I can make it a desk bar, and then let's see. So I can make it wide, and I can start making a Unity layout or Unity lookalike layout really quick in this way. An application that we ship is XFCE Panel Switch. And this allows you to kind of quickly switch your layouts. Oh, there we go. You can back them up and restore them. You can share them with others by saving it to a file or export here. Yeah. I can make it look like GNOME 2 instantly. Make it look like Windows. Stock XFCE. Xubuntu back in the days of Precise when we had a bottom dock, or even jump back to what we ship currently, the single panel, everything all in one place. And again, this kind of just goes back to we have so many options and it's very configurable. I guess appearance-wise, Adwaita comes with GTK. Graybird is our default, and we also ship the popular Numix theme. There, quickly, it's a very different looking layout immediately, just by the way that the highlight colors and everything else tie together.
Okay, we have a couple of questions here. The first one is about wallpapers. It's been 10 years, so there's 10 years of wallpapers. Coder Europe is asking how to get all those wallpapers.
Yeah, so there's actually a package available in the Ubuntu repositories. It's Ubuntu Wallpapers. If I install this, I can type. It's already installed. So if I go to my desktop settings, we've got a lot of the wallpapers that we've had throughout the years. I guess it's probably better than that. So these are some of the ones from the last community challenge that we had. This one's, I think, from a 1204.
Do you remember which one is the first?
I don't know if we have the first one on here.
I remember the mouse in the middle, but I don't remember exactly how it looked.
Yeah.
It was an interesting question.
Yeah. But yeah, we do have them all available, and they're also all available on Launchpad. For any of the ones that we don't have on here, we can, they're available to download.
Great. And the other question is about weather plugin. Do you have one?
Yes. So yeah, if I go to my panel preferences, add weather update. Just gotta configure it. Let that refresh. There we go. And this plugin itself has a lot of options to change how it looks. We have a couple different themes available. You could change how many things are displayed, or if you just want to keep it just to the temperature, it's an option. So it shows the weather, or you can just hide that altogether and just show the weather.
Okay, all nice looking. Now let's jump to your plans for the future. What are you working on right now?
The biggest thing that I and others are working on right now is there's a big initiative right now in XFCE to kind of port everything to GTK3, kind of update it to the current toolkit and get us ready for the future. We have a lot of old code from the early days of GTK2 that we're kind of moving forward.
So
and that's
all of these applications are GTK2 currently?
Yeah, most of these are. On my own machine, I've got a lot more of what's actually been ported. So like here are our settings managers, GTK3 now. So are the appearance settings. We have window scaling. If you want to see some craziness, everything's gigantic now.
Good.
Put that back. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a work in progress, but everybody's contribution's been jumping up a lot recently, and here recently, our own QA team has announced that one of them will be kind of focusing more with upstream XFCE, while the other one focuses primarily on QA for Xubuntu. So we're kind of giving back to upstream as well as maintaining downstream to kind of give the best possible direction, I guess, as we continue to develop and move forward.
Okay, that sounds great. Can you tell us a little about the teams that you have? You mentioned QA, which is what I like the most. Can you tell us about how that works a little?
So we've got currently 2 QA leads who basically test on a daily basis, and they've actually got a IRC session next week, I believe, where they've invited members of the community to join in, and IRC testing session.
So that's on Xubuntu, on Dash Xubuntu, or on Freenode?
It's on Freenode, and I think it's going to be on Xubuntu Devel. I don't have the details in front of me right now.
Okay.
I could probably ask real quick.
Yeah, probably. Probably somebody on the channel can tell us. So Flocculent is the upstream chap. He's testing XFCE, and maybe you can tell us how is it going? Is it stable enough to give it a try?
I mean, XFCE itself is definitely stable, and as we continue to port everything to GTK3, everything's really well tested, and because we don't really, it's really simple. For the most part, when things are ported, it's kind of a one-to-one port, and there's not a lot of special code that needs to be modified for it. Our file manager is kind of an exception to that rule. It's kind of a complex, really old beast. But like things like,
is that Tunar? Is it, how is it called?
Yeah, this is Thunar. But like the settings manager consists, I think, of like 8 apps, and I think I focused primarily on a weekend and got it mostly ported with just a few bugs. After which we reviewed and were able to tackle a lot of those as well. So this is a pretty solid and reliable system at the moment. There we go, 1900 UTC on the 12th. So next Friday.
So if somebody wants to help testing Xubuntu and XFCE, that's a great way to get started.
Yes.
Join their community on IRC, and they will be helping you. We always need hands to test all this stuff. It's so many different applications and so many different.
Absolutely. So outside of our QA team, we have a really strong documentation team. So if you go to help, it'll bring up our online documentation, and this is shipped on the ISO. We also have a PDF version of it as well. And here you can find almost anything you ask for in Xubuntu, where we've got guides on migrating from Windows, configuring various options, and even media applications and whatnot. So when you're starting with Xubuntu, if you're not familiar with it, or if you've not used it before or recently, this is definitely a great place to start. We have a good artwork team. Numix is not our default. Let me switch that back over real quick. So back to Graybird, the manager, Graybird. So okay. So Elementary is our icon theme, and obviously they're kind of an upstream for that. But we maintain Elementary XFCE, which we add additional support for XFCE applications and icon sizes that aren't used upstream. They also maintain the Graybird GTK theme, and they've been there since basically the beginning. Let's see. I'll wait for you to return. Guess I can answer questions if there are any.
I'm very sorry.
Oh, you're
my
fine.
connection is playing tricks. Thanks a lot for sticking with me, Sean.
All right. So yeah, I guess we are kind of coming up close to the 30-minute mark. Is there any other questions that you'd like to ask or anything you'd like to find out?
So I think I was talking to myself for a while. I don't know if you heard me. Can you stop sharing, please?
Yeah.
I'm freaking out looking at myself here. Great, thanks. I was asking about your role as the tech lead, and I read that Xubuntu now has a council. How does the team organization work at this moment?
Okay. So I guess starting with the Xubuntu Council, this was recently introduced, and for the most part, the council kind of takes a hands-off approach. They kind of arbitrate, kind of at the end, for things that may need to be settled, separately, or possible communication that needs to be made outside of the team before presenting it and whatnot. For the most part, the council itself is not particularly active. As for myself as the tech lead, I primarily work with actual development of applications. I'm also upload our packages. We have a second uploader as well, and he's definitely been picking up a lot of that recently. What else? And then I would just work with everybody else, and just as we decide for improvements to make for Xubuntu, I help get us there.
Great. Well, it's really nice work. You are appreciated. Thanks a lot for that. And we're about to close. Let's make a last question here from Coder Europe too. He's asking about snaps. Have you had time to take a look at snaps? Are you planning to package as snaps some of your components?
I haven't played with it at all myself yet. I don't think we've really focused on snaps at the moment. I mean, it's something that we could do in the future for sure. But right now, we're definitely not doing anything with it at the moment. And we do have support for snaps because of the software center. So you can install snaps and they just work in Xubuntu. So that's great.
Okay, that's very good. And well, I work on the Snapcraft team. And one thing that we're doing is trying to make sure that all the snaps look nice at this point. We're also not focusing on platform snaps, but on application snaps. Mm-hmm. So if somebody listening wants to help us, it would be great if you start installing snaps on all the different flavors. If your flavor is Ubuntu, please tell us if it looks good or if it looks bad, and we will try to fix it. So, well, it's 30 minutes now. Thanks a lot for joining. It was very interesting session. Do you want to say something else before we close?
Just thank you for having me, and thank you for actually doing the Ubuntu testing days. I watched some of the ones for the for the Mate team and Ubuntu Budgie, and it's kind of cool to get to learn get to meet the others in the community in that way. So thanks a lot.
Well, you're welcome. It's thanks to everybody on this community that we have Ubuntu. It's lovely how varied it is, and I'm enjoying this a lot. So hopefully next Friday we will have another one. I will need to talk to the remaining teams to see who wants to join next Friday, and we will be making the announcements. So
if anybody actually wants to ask me any future questions or reach out to the Xubuntu team, please join us over on Freenode on Xubuntu Devel, and we'll be happy to answer any questions, and we'll be glad to have you.
Awesome, great. Yes, please join. And there's a lot of nice developers around, like Sean, who will be really happy to mentor you and give you a hand getting started. So that's it for today. We will talk again next week. Again, thanks a lot, Sean. Thanks for staying despite of all my network connection problems. And see you later. Bye.
Thank you.